Broadcasting live from WOUB TV in Athens, this is Newswatch.
The Ohio University Police Department is urging students to take extra precautions after a robbery took place early this morning. Good evening, I'm Chelsea Sick. Thanks for joining us. A robbery took place around 3:30 this morning in the alley between the Radio and Television Building and Cantner Hall. The suspects are described as two black males, one of them wearing a gray jacket and the other wearing a red jacket. The victim told the Athens Police Department one of the suspects pulled out a knife during the encounter. The two suspects then fled east towards College Street, leaving the victim with minor injuries. Sophomores Maddie Miller and Brittany Deskins live in Voight Hall and walk through the alley often.
Thing that made me kind of like rethink walking through.
I've always thought it was a sketchy alley, but I've never really thought anything like that could happen. I'm always like cautious of my surroundings, but this is obviously going to make it worse, like being aware of where I am and who I'm with.
PD could not be reached for more information, but the incident is under investigation. We'll be sure to keep you updated as we find out more information. The Ohio State Auditor's Office is investigating spending from outside accounts that are controlled by Athens County Prosecutor Keller Blackburn, and they may even be launching a special audit into the case. A news report from WSYX ABC 6 in Columbus raised concerns over outside spending. A special audit task force will decide whether or not to follow up on the report at the end of the month. The report focused on spending by sheriffs and prosecutors, noting instances where they spent nearly $400 at steakhouses. Alexander local schools are no longer under a threat after officials deemed threats from a fake Instagram account to be a false alarm. Charges against a juvenile are still expected after the statement, "Watch out, Alexander, and students should wear red to school," was posted to Instagram on Tuesday night. The Athens County Sheriff's Office was alerted on Tuesday morning and sent 2 officers to the school to investigate. Deputy Jimmy Childs said the message was not a specific threat, but the school would discipline accordingly. A 21-year-old Pomeroy man accepted a plea deal related to an April crash that left him and 2 others with severe injuries. Cody Castile was convicted on 2 counts of aggravated vehicular assault and 2 counts of operating a vehicle under the influence. He will serve a mandatory 3-year prison term followed by 5 years of community control. Castile was also sentenced to 3 years of post-release control and is subject to a 10-year driver's license suspension. Good evening and welcome to the Newswatch Weather Center. I'm Ananda Harris. Today was a pretty warm day across the region. Temperatures getting up into the 60s, very warm for November. Still sitting at some pretty warm temperatures at 55 degrees right now in Athens, 56 up in the capital, and 61 degrees down in Ironton. Now, we're not going to cool off too much tonight, only dropping down to 52 degrees by 8 p.m., 47 degrees by midnight, and 45 by 4 a.m. The low tonight in Athens only going to hit 43 degrees, so pretty mild for this time of year. The low 44 in Columbus and 46 down in Ironton and Ripley. We're going to see some clear skies tonight, so another good night to go out and look at the stars. Hopefully earlier this week you caught that supermoon. If not, you may still catch a few glimpses of the nice moon tonight. But that's all we have. I'll get more to you later on how your temperatures are going to be tomorrow. Over to you, Chelsea. Thanks, Ananda. An Ohio man is being mentally evaluated after being arrested for allegedly attempting to join the Islamic State. The mother of 20-year-old Aaron Daniels said her son was hearing voices and told her that co-workers were calling him the devil in Arabic. Daniels was supposedly flying from Columbus to Houston and then to Libya to join the Islamic State. Federal agents arrested Daniels at John Glenn International Airport last week. The attorneys of Daniels are hoping he is released during pretrial to obtain mental health counseling, but prosecutors say he is a danger and a flight risk. The community mourned the loss of a 6-year-old Portsmouth boy after his disturbing death. His mother, Margarita White, was arrested for not enrolling her son, TJ Cottle, into school. White then confessed her autistic son died in August from malnourishment and abuse by her boyfriend, Douglas Hunt. The boy's remains were undiscovered until last weekend when they were found in a Portsmouth home. Family and friends of TJ grieved together outside of Spartan Municipal Stadium last night. The event raised over $400 for funeral expenses. Cincinnati City Council is hoping for retrial in a case in which a white University of Cincinnati police officer is charged with murder of an unarmed black man. Jurors decided on Saturday they could not reach a verdict after deliberating for over 25 hours. City Council is asking Hamilton County Prosecutor Joe Dieters to do everything he can to pursue a retrial of Officer Ray Tensing. Tensing shot Sam DuBose during a traffic stop in July 2015. Tensing testified he feared he was going to be killed. Dieters says he will decide on a retrial by November 28th. Coming up next on Newswatch, an update on President-elect Trump's transition team. Find out how House Speaker Paul Ryan's comments after meeting with the team.
University students really have a huge sense of pride in our campus, in our school, and in our education.
People don't come to Ohio just to go to college. They come here to become a Bobcat.
It's a really unique atmosphere.
Bobcat pride is having that natural camaraderie.
Bobcats are just happy to be Bobcats.
My favorite time of year at Ohio has to be homecoming.
When the alumni come back, you can see that the love of this university doesn't fade.
Once you're a Bobcat, you're always a Bobcat.
Friday nights are all about high school football, but when the games are over and the helmets come off, it's time for some gridiron glory. I'm your host, Danny Dean, back under center. Don't miss a play this season. Join myself and the rest of our team on Friday nights at 11:30 on WOUB and catch us again on Saturday mornings at 11:30. We are committed to bringing you the stories of players, coaches, and communities, and of course, we can't forget about some highlights. We all know there's nothing better than Friday nights and gridiron glory.
I knew that I wanted to come to Ohio University from the very first time I visited here.
There's something about the campus that grabs you.
It was really comforting.
Very welcoming.
It's one thing to write down your name and your GPA and that kind of stuff and send it in. It's another thing entirely to be here and see how great it is.
The campus here is just electric.
Absolutely gorgeous.
Everything just looked really college-like.
I looked at my mom and I said, "This is it." And she said, "The tour's just started." I said, "No, you don't understand. This is it."
My professors really care. They care about my grades, they care about my opportunities, they care about my experiences, they want me to succeed.
They give those opportunities to the students.
My professors have been extremely approachable.
Literally, their door is always open.
You can go to them with pretty much anything.
Everyone knows your first and your last name and where you sit in the classroom.
I really never feel like I'm being talked down to or just being taught material. I always feel like we're having a conversation.
And they want to share those opportunities and those experiences with us.
President Obama continues his last foreign trip today, and President-elect Donald Trump's transition team works to fill key positions in his administration. Diane Gallagher has the latest from Washington, D.C. on both presidents.
A little over a week after Donald Trump was elected president, his transition team leader, Vice President-elect Mike Pence, is back in familiar territory, meeting with leadership on Capitol Hill.
It's just very humbling to me.
Pence met with Republicans.
He gave our members an update on the transition and the priorities for this new administration. It was a warm and very productive conversation.
And Democrats.
Thank you for what I trust will be the first of many conversations as we move forward toward inauguration.
We'll try to find our common ground where we can, and of course stand our ground when we can't.
As Donald Trump continues to meet with potential members of his future administration in New York,
welcome to the Transition Daily Briefing.
His team held its first briefing call with the press.
The president-elect will have a 2-hour transition team meeting tomorrow.
Meanwhile, the current president continues his final overseas trip.
It's wonderful to be back in Berlin,
reassuring foreign leaders on the health of the relationships between their countries and the United States, as the first world leader sets out for an official meeting with the future president.
I am very honored to see the president-elect ahead of other world leaders. I would like to hold a talk with Mr. Trump to talk about our dream towards the future.
Japan's Shinzo Abe will spend Thursday evening at Trump Tower with the president-elect. In Washington, I'm Diane Gallagher.
Thanks, Diane. People across India are growing more frustrated by the day over the country's cash swap. The government scrapped the 2 largest rupee notes and issued new ones, but the change hasn't been going smoothly, and now it's having an impact on health care. CNN's Alexandra Field reports.
Outside a public hospital in New Delhi, people are feeling the pain of change. Ram Kishore brought his 11-year-old son here for medicine, but he'll leave empty-handed. He says, I'll probably go back to my village tomorrow. I'll come back whenever I manage to get change. What option do I have? A nationwide cash crunch is hitting hundreds of millions in the pocket. Now adding suffering for some of the sick. We can't use the new 2,000 rupee notes, he says. We managed to exchange our money to get the new notes, but now the medical stores are saying they can't take that note because they don't have change.
The new notes are twice the size of what was in the market just a week ago. That means you've got a lot of retailers who simply can't make change, and that's frustrating if you're buying basic goods. But if you need something like medicine, the effects, the consequences can be downright dangerous.
The problem gets worse as more and more of the country's new 500 rupee notes and 2,000 rupee notes hit the market. Small bills like 100 rupees are still in use, but it can be tough to get your hands on them. Some ATMs are tapped out. There are long lines at others. People are still lining up for days or hours to exchange old money. 500 and 1,000 rupee notes taken out of circulation with little notice. What Modi did was great, but the implementation has been extremely poor. This is very unfair for the poor people. Continued fallout felt by the masses from the Prime Minister's plan to crack down on the rich, who he says are hoarding cash that's unaccounted for.
This decision came without any warning. Do you understand Mr. Modi's plan? Can you support it?
We don't have a problem with Modi running the government, he says, but please stop this ban on notes. If you have to do it properly, slowly, with a plan. This is making our lives very difficult. People who came for treatment are going back to their villages. For some, that's just one hard choice. She tells us, my son wants to eat and it only costs 10 rupees, but I only have a 2,000 rupee note. The shopkeeper won't change the note or give the food in credit. My son has been crying. What do I do? For now, Ram Kishore says the only thing he can do is ration the little medicine he has left for his son. He'll come back to New Delhi whenever cash frees up. Alexandra Field, CNN, New Delhi.
All right, thanks, Alexandra. The man who admitted to killing 3 people at a Colorado Planned Parenthood last year is still not mentally competent to stand trial. The judge made the decision on Thursday that Robert Deere Jr. is not competent to continue his court case. Deere is accused of killing a police officer and 2 civilians. He is charged with 179 counts, including murder and attempted murder. Deere has been undergoing treatment at the state mental hospital. His next competency hearing will be February 15th. And on Wall Street today, stocks were scattered across the board. Here's a look at some stocks of local interest.
And we're going to have a brief warm-up on temperatures coming up, but don't get too excited because after that, we're going to have some freezing temperatures. I'll have more on that, plus your extended forecast coming up on Newswatch.
Professors really care. They care about my grades, they care about my opportunities, they care about my experiences, they want me to succeed.
They give those opportunities to the students.
My professors have been extremely approachable.
Literally, their door is always open.
You can go to them with pretty much anything.
Everyone knows your first and your last name and where you sit in the classroom.
I really never feel like I'm being talked down to or just being taught material. I always feel like I'm having a conversation.
And they want to share those opportunities and those experiences with us.
Ohio University students really have a huge sense of pride in our campus, in our school, and in our education.
People don't come to Ohio just to go to college. They come here to become a Bobcat.
It's a really unique atmosphere.
Bobcat Pride is having that natural camaraderie.
Bobcats are just happy to be Bobcats.
My favorite time of year at Ohio has to be homecoming.
When the alumni come back, you can see that the love of this university doesn't fade.
Once you're a Bobcat, you're always a Bobcat.
I knew that I wanted to come to Ohio University from the very first time I visited here.
There's something about the campus that grabs you.
It was really comforting.
Very welcoming.
It's one thing to write down your name and your GPA and that kind of stuff and send it in. It's another thing entirely to be here and see how great it is.
The campus here is just electric.
Absolutely gorgeous. Everything just looked really college-like.
I looked at my mom and I said, "This is it." And she said, "The tour's just started." I said, "No, you don't understand. This is it."
Friday nights are all about high school football, but when the games are over and the helmets come off, it's time for some gridiron glory. I'm your host, Danny Dean, back under center. Don't miss a play this season. Join myself and the rest of our team on Friday nights at 11:30 on WOUB, and catch us again on Saturday mornings at 11:30. We are committed to bringing you the stories of players, coaches, and communities, and of course, we can't forget about some highlights. We all know there's nothing better than Friday nights and gridiron glory.
Welcome back to the Newswatch Weather Center. I'm Ananda Harris. Right now we're sitting at 55 degrees in Athens, very warm for a November evening. Nice clear skies across the region, temperatures all in the 50s and even 61 degrees down in Ironton. We have 56 right now up in Columbus, 57 in New Lexington, and 59 down in Ripley. Now, looking at our almanac for today, we can see that we were well above average for this time of year, hitting a high of 68 degrees, that normal being around 55. Our lows for today, though, were right around average at 30 degrees this morning, that normal being 35 degrees. Now, if we take a look at our precipcast, we have high pressure off to our south, which has been giving us those nice warm temperatures and sunny skies. That will continue for tomorrow, but we see this cold front over to our west that will be pushing into the region associated with that low pressure system. As that moves in, temperatures are going to drop down quite a bit for the weekend. With that nice band of precipitation, we're going to get that most of the day on Saturday and possibly even into Saturday night. With that cool down in temperatures, that rain on Saturday may turn into a little bit of snow for Saturday night, so make sure this weekend you really bundle up. But for tonight, we're still going to stay pretty mild with a low of 43 degrees across the region. Lows tonight all in the 40s with those nice clear skies once again. And in the morning, we're going to start out sunny with 44 degrees for your bus stop forecast. We may have a little bit of patchy fog, but that will clear up as we go through the day. Tomorrow during the day, we're going to warm up pretty quickly at 67 degrees by noon. 4 p.m., we're going to hit 72 degrees. Very, very warm for this time of year. Feeling more like September than late November. Can't believe it, Thanksgiving's this coming week, and we're in the 70s right now, but that will change for next week. Tomorrow, again, that high of 73 degrees with those sunny skies across the region. Tomorrow, highs are all going to be in the 70s, hitting 76 degrees for your high in Ironton and Ripley. So make sure you do get out and enjoy that weather tomorrow. Maybe take a nice hike because things are going to change pretty quickly on the weekend. We're going to drop down to a high of 48 degrees on Saturday, and we will hit that high pretty early in the day because we're going to see that cold front move through the region. So actually, as we go through the day, your temperatures are going to get cooler during the afternoon instead of warmer. We're going to see that rain lasting all through Saturday during the day. And then if you take a look at the low for Saturday night, 27 degrees, a lot cooler than it's been this week for that low. And again, with those freezing temperatures, we may get a little bit of snow in the forecast for Saturday night. But by Sunday, then things are going to clear up. That rain will have pushed out of the region, leaving those cold temperatures behind. Highs only of 40 degrees on Sunday, so very, very chilly. Taking a look at those lows, again, 25 degrees for the low on Sunday. Then for Monday, things aren't going to warm up a lot. We're only going to hit a high of 44 degrees. Those lows once again in the low 20s. And for the rest of the week, we're going to start heating up just a little bit, getting a high of 53 degrees for that warm temperature for next week on Wednesday. And then for your Thanksgiving forecast, it looks like things are going to be in the upper 40s with a slight chance for some rain. Over to you, Chelsea.
Thanks, Ananda. Guidelines recently released by the U.S. Preventative Services Task Force are advising adults between the ages of 50 and 69 to take a low dose of aspirin daily. They say it will help ward off cardiovascular disease. Holly Furfer has more in today's Health Minute.
For Kathy Steinberg, a family history of cardiovascular disease gave her cause to worry about her own heart health.
My mother's side of the family, everybody but one person has had heart disease.
So she consulted a preventive cardiologist early on, who recommended adopting certain habits to maintain heart health.
Eat healthy, stay active, exercise, drink water, get a good night's sleep, reduce your stress.
Her doctor told her to add one more weapon to her arsenal, a low-dose aspirin.
It reduces your risk of stroke and heart attack. If you have narrowed arteries, it can help the blood flow get through better.
People younger than 50 or older than 70 are not good candidates for a daily aspirin.
They should have a conversation with their doctor about the aspirin.
The most common side effects from this daily dose are excess bleeding and acid reflux.
And I don't exercise enough, and I don't watch my weight enough, but at least I'm taking the aspirin and the other thing she recommends.
For today's Health Minute, I'm Holly Furfer.
This is Clark Wicks with sports. Up next, see why 7 Bobcat soccer players are being honored by the Mid-American Conference this week. Also, find out what kept LeBron James off the court in the Cavaliers' 10-point loss to the Pacers, next on Newswatch. Stay tuned to WOUB. Here's what's coming up tonight on your public television station.
Friday nights are all about high school football, but when the games are over and the helmets come off, it's time for some gridiron glory. I'm your host, Danny Dean, back under center. Don't miss a play this season. Join myself and the rest of our team on Friday nights at 11:30 on WOUB and catch us again on Saturday mornings at 11:30. We are committed to bringing you the stories of players, coaches, and communities, and of course, we can't forget about some highlights. We all know there's nothing better than Friday nights and gridiron glory.
Ohio University students really have a huge sense of pride in our campus, in our school, and in our education.
People don't come to Ohio just to go to college. They come here to become a Bobcat.
It's a really unique atmosphere.
Bobcat pride is having that natural camaraderie.
Bobcats are just happy to be Bobcats.
My favorite time of year at Ohio has to be homecoming.
When the alumni come back, you can see that the love of this university doesn't fade.
Once you're a Bobcat, you're always a Bobcat.
My professors really care. They care about my grades, they care about my opportunities, they care about my experiences, they want me to succeed.
They give those opportunities to the students.
My professors have been extremely approachable.
Literally, their door is always open.
You can go to them with pretty much anything.
Everyone knows your first and your last name and where you sit in the classroom.
I really never feel like I'm being talked down to or just being taught material. I always feel like we're having a conversation.
And they want to share those opportunities and those experiences with us.
I knew that I wanted to come to Ohio University from the very first time I visited here.
There's something about the campus that grabs you.
It was really comforting.
Very welcoming.
It's one thing to write down your name and your GPA and that kind of stuff and send it in. It's another thing entirely to be here and see how great it is.
The campus here is just electric.
Absolutely gorgeous.
Everything just looked really college-like.
I looked at my mom and I said, "This is it." And she said, "The tour's just started." I said, "No, you don't understand. This is it."
Welcome back, I'm Clark Wicks. The Cleveland Cavaliers' 3-game win streak was snapped this last night when they fell to the Indiana Pacers 103-93. Despite grabbing 18 more rebounds than the Pacers, the Cavaliers simply could not keep up with the speedy Indiana offense. The close loss sparked many discussions about the amount of rest superstar LeBron James needs. Coach Tyronn Lue stated that he wanted to rest LeBron after playing 38 minutes the previous night against the Toronto Raptors. James is the oldest player in the NBA, ranked in the top 10 minutes in minutes played per game. According to Lue, the decision to bench the 12-time All-Star was a mutual agreement the two came to in an attempt to prepare James for the postseason. We will see how Lue plays James in the future, as the Cavaliers have more than a dozen back-to-back games remaining this season. The Kent State men's basketball team according to Cincinnati Bearcat head coach Tommy Tuberville, former Rams and Dolphins running back Isaiah Peed will never play football again after losing part of his leg in a car accident last weekend. Speed was reported to be a factor as a tire blew out, causing Peed to lose control of his 2011 Cadillac CTS sedan. The vehicle went off the highway and through a metal guardrail that ejected Peed out of the car. Drugs and alcohol were not factors in the crash. The Bearcats defensive back Wesley Richardson, who was in the vehicle, was also injured. The Kent State men's basketball team put their own twist on the national anthem last night before their tip-off against Mississippi Valley State. Each member of the team went up into the stands and invited a fan of a different race to come down to the floor with them. Coach Rob Senderoff told the Associated Press, "It takes courage for our players to make a statement like this, and I believe it is a representation of the unity in our campus and community." This idea came from the players who were granted permission from the coaches in order to promote unity and solidarity. Kent State would go on to win 93-63. Sticking with men's basketball, the Bobcat men's basketball team will make a trip down to South Carolina next year after being invited to play in the 2017 Gildan-Charleston Classic. Ohio will be among the 7 other teams playing in the tournament. The Charleston Classic is a tournament owned and operated by ESPN Events and has been active since 2008. This is the first time the Bobcats will play in the Classic, and they will be the only team to represent the MAC. Western Michigan, the only MAC team in the Classic this year, lost 76-65 against third-ranked Villanova this afternoon. Although their season may be over, the Ohio University women's soccer team had 7 players named to the 2016 All-MAC team. Every year, the Mid-American Conference honors athletes who earned a 3.2 GPA and played in more than 50% of their games throughout the season. Allie Curry, Celeste Fushimi-Carnes, Hannah Jaggers, Katie McCurley, Alexis Molesky, and Molly Whitaker were all awarded the honor. Sophomore back Rihanna Reese was one of just 11 players in the conference with a 4.0 GPA. According to head coach Aaron Rodgers, his team has been dedicated to creating an environment that hard work on and off the field is encouraged and celebrated. I'm Clark Wicks, and that's it for sports. Back to you, Chelsea.
All right, thanks, Clark. Here is a video you're going to have to see to believe. A 24-year-old set a Guinness World Record by carrying out the highest ever bungee dunk. Look at it here. Simon Berry of the UK managed to dunk a biscuit into a cup of tea during a 70-meter, that's 235 feet, bungee jump. All right, Ananda, now over to you for final weather.
Thanks, Chelsea. Overnight tonight, we're going to drop down to 43 degrees. May feel a little bit chilly after the warm temperatures we've had today, but overall a pretty mild night because things are going to get a lot cooler as we go toward the weekend. But for tomorrow, things are still going to be beautiful outside. We're going to hit a high of 73 degrees in Athens. Those nice sunny skies, temperatures well above average, but that won't last for long. Taking a look at our 7-day, things are going to cool down. On Saturday morning, we're going to hit a high of 48 degrees, but that cold front's going to move through the region, getting temperatures down to the low 40s by the evening. And with that cold front, we're going to see a lot of rain in the Ohio Valley region. To the north of Ohio, we may see some snow up in the Michigan area, but down here, we're mostly expected to get rain. Saturday night, we may see a few flurries of snow, but no accumulation is expected. On Sunday, things are going to clear up, but temperatures are still going to be cool. We're going to get those nice sunny skies, but only about a high of 40 degrees. On Monday, things are still going to be cool. We're heating up a little bit as we go through the week. High of 44 degrees on Monday, though those lows are still going to stay cool for the beginning of the week. And then we'll heat up a little bit by midweek to 53 degrees, and we're looking at a high of 47 for Thanksgiving. Over to you, Chelsea.
All right, thanks, Ananda. And that does it for our broadcast this evening. Thanks for watching. I'm Chelsea Sick. Stay tuned for PBS NewsHour coming up next. And remember, you can find the latest news anytime at WOUB.org. Have a great night.
Friday nights are all about high school football, but when the games are over and the helmets come off, it's time for some gridiron glory. I'm your host, Danny Dean, back under center. Don't miss a play this season. Join myself and the rest of our team on Friday nights at 11:30 on WOUB, and catch us again on Saturday mornings at 11:30. We are committed to bringing you the stories of players, coaches, and communities, and of course, we can't forget about some highlights. We all know there's nothing better than Friday nights and gridiron glory.